A few days ago, Nintendo's France YouTube channel released this, a full match between two people playing Mario Strugglers Battle League. Hi internet, Orc speaking, and recently I've been getting a lot on my YouTube feed about videos, about speculation, criticisms about the upcoming Mario Strugglers Battle League. And I wanted to weigh in a little bit on that, not because I agree or disagree with any of them. I'm sure you know about Daisy being missing, lack of DLC content, the game looking lackluster, so on and so forth, all of that, which is fair and valid concerns. But what I'm interested in is how fundamentally sound the game is. So I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a competitive perspective on the game. Reminder, this is about gameplay footage of a game that we don't physically have our hands on. So everything that I could be saying and everyone else could be saying could be right or wrong. There's a reason we call it speculation. Opinions should be made, not given. So anyway, let's get into the footage, see what we got here. Now, the very first thing that actually struck me, because I've watched this a few times over already, it's very, very sharp, which is, I'm not sure because of the method that they use to record this, but it doesn't look very good if people are going to stream it like on Twitch, because Twitch has a really nasty compression thing. It's just very hard to make out characters, which is a legitimate concern. One of my biggest concerns, since I'm going to be making content for the game, is how the game looks. I think the game looks okay, but I think it's going to be critical that you're watching it at a pretty high resolution, which I know a lot of people don't. Right, here we're going to have Bowser versus Mario. Now, I'm actually going to weigh in a little bit about this, because I'm normally not one to talk about player skill, because different people enjoy the game in different ways. Some people like playing casually, some people like playing competitively. However, for this video analysis, I need to clarify that both players are pretty weak opponents, so they don't do a lot of things that I would like to see them. For instance, one of the many things I'm curious about is backsliding and tackling, how the mechanics work in that sense. They don't really do a good job showing it because they don't tackle much. But anyway, here we're going to get started. Mario versus Bowser. Now, Bowser's a canonically heavyweight, so he's going to go for the ball first. Here we're going to have Bowser go for a shot, and of course, rebounds are still a thing. When you hit the ball against the goalie and it rebounds and you shoot the ball again, there's a much higher probability of the ball going in the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time until it subsequently goes in. And since this is a one-on-one match against two people, it's really interesting to see the CPU formation. So inside of the older games, depending on where you stand, the CPUs will try to form a specific formation. But it actually looks like they got rid of the default kickoff position from Mario Strikers Charge, which looks similar to this, except that the toad would normally be on the top or on the bottom, depending on where the ball came from. In this, it just looks like a perfect diamond. And that actually makes it really hard to advance, not having the toad in like an open position. So now we're going to have Peach do a deke. It looks like if you deke a tackle properly, you get a bit of a speed boost, which is an interesting mechanic in the game. So it kind of incentivizes people to like bait out dekes, which counterintuitively makes dekes quite a bit stronger, because you could pressure the guy with the ball to deke ahead of time and then tackle the deke. So punish the anticipation. One of the mechanics I would love to see them do is a slide tackle, which they don't do this the entire duration. I've watched it over many times. It's very possible I missed it, but I don't see them do a normal slide tackle just to take the ball. They're always like body checking each other and slamming each other, which I hope is the case because they just don't know. If they actually remove the slide tackle, that is a very, very big gameplay change, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. Also, here you see Rosalina going for a body check again, and Mario actually doing a nice deke to avoid, which is nice. Rosalina, not Ros. I keep saying Rosalina. Peach pass down, and again, this is something that you would normally not see. Like I said, I don't like talking about player skill because, different people enjoy the game in different ways. But it's important to know that these two players either A, are really new to the game, or B, unfortunately, this is the new way to play the game. Inside of all the older games, lob passing is probably one of the dumbest things you could do. And he does it for, these guys are both doing it a ridiculous amount. Just passing it back and forth in the air. The reason why it's such a bad idea is because it's so easy to intercept. All the blue player has to do is spam the B button, and then he kicks it out, and the ball's on the other court. And normally, the formation is now broken, so you normally have a guy free running. It's a really, really bad thing. Normally. Also, one thing I was talking to my brother about when we were watching this last night was the boom boom actually gives a little glow indication right here on the Bowser to show who he's trying to pass to, which depending online, that actually could be a really, really bad thing because you could anticipate who the ball is going to, which means that tackle rebound shots are going to be a thing. So that's definitely going to be a bit of a noob killer. All right, Waluigi surrounded by 3 people. Red team places no defense. And Bowser just gets an item out of the blue. This mechanic is, I'm pretty sure, the only mechanic that casuals and competitive won't see eye to eye on. Having items drop out of the blue is not a good thing. Inside of the older games, the way you accumulate items is by shooting, charging the ball a little bit and shooting for the goal, or having someone of your team tackled who did not have the ball. So it's kind of like a penalty card, if you will. In this game, the items are given out haphazardly and randomly, and I could be wrong, but I've seen them tackle a few times, and they don't get item boxes, even though the guy didn't have the ball, which could be a very bad thing because it encourages hit spam. And hit spam was a pretty big issue back in the day. I love the little detail that he keeps the number on his shell. That's from Charged as well. Good old 66. The replay animations are sick. One thing, Nintendo, if you could do me a favor and all the other content creators a favor, add a replay system. Not many games have them, But the games that do are much easier to make content out of. Alright, so now we're gonna have Mario off the kickoff. And the item box just drops into the item lane. The reason why items are so big is they allow you to do openings and make plays that normally you would have to retreat or you just be checkmated out of. Basically, items allow you to do stupid situations, which is a good thing. That's how people make openings. But the problem is when items are given out randomly, you're basically randomly assigning teams to make openings and make plays, which is not good. So for instance, if the blue team, they have bananas, they have shrooms, Rosalina would definitely go for a body check. Bowser's going to rotate back, Waluigi's going to rotate up, and Yoshi is going to play for the rebound in case if the Rosalina misses. And Rosalina should have 4 rounds, so the Peach actually should be defending up here. One thing I'm really excited about is the strategy aspect of the game. From everything I've seen so far, this is basically Super Mario Strikers Charge with multiplayer with a boost mechanic. It's definitely a step backward and then back up in a different direction. It's not Mario Strikers Charge. We don't know if Z chipping is a thing or Z chipping, as some of you guys might say. So anyway, Rosalina here gets passed across. Bowser should definitely body check this, but he doesn't. He just immediately passes back. Yeah, they're just doing like air dribbles, which should be really easy to intercept. Now, one interesting thing I wanted to talk about is pressure points. Inside of every Mario Strikers game, the game is always a mix of skill, positioning, and probability. And the probability part comes from a few different factors. A, the power of the character that you're shooting it with. B, the power of the ball. The higher the charge of the ball, the more likely it is to go in. C, the position you are on the map. That matters a lot. Depending on where you shoot from, you have a much higher chance of the ball going in. So you normally want to shoot down on the lanes and a little bit in front of the goalie box. It kind of looks like a W where you generally want to be in most Mario Strikers games. And lastly, instead of Mario Strikers Charge, the goalkeeper actually has stamina. So the more you hit him, the more he gets knocked back until eventually he lets the ball go. And as you can see, he's shooting down the lane, which gives him the ability to do quite a really hard shot on Boom Boom that knocks him over. And again, if this was playing online, you would have someone ready to rebound the shot, and no one's there to rebound. So the game goes back to reset, which is cool. The blue player doesn't even wait for Waluigi to get up. I'm not sure if it's the same mechanic, but the goalkeeper is normally able to hold the ball for a little bit before he has to throw it. So in this case, you would actually wait for your Waluigi to get back up, which he doesn't. Also, the Boom Boom could throw really far. Normally, Critter does not throw that far or anywhere near as fast. So he throws it like beyond the half court, which is insane. It doesn't matter. They grab the orb. So this is the first time the orb is on the board. It seems like the orb gives the ball a little bit of charge every time you take a shot. I find that interesting. That's a good mechanic. So if they just go for a simple shot, which I think they do here, you see, notice how the ball kind of becomes electric. So there is definitely some perfect timing, perfect passing going on here. And he's going to get a double on them, so he double charges it. And he goes for a really fast shot, which Peach, unfortunately, is A, too weak, and B, too far. So she doesn't quite get it. At least I believe that's what happened. And Mario there to get the rebound. Like, that should be a shot. That's a goal. But unfortunately, Mario messes up the inputs. It seems like the inputs is very, if you're moving too fast, you can't do a 180. That's a thing in all Mario Strikers games. Boom Boom here is going to swat the ball away. Rosalina takes control. And as you can see these trails behind all of these. This is kind of what solidified the fact that it's a lot more like Strikers and less like Charge. Because in the original Super Mario Strikers, there's a dash mechanic. In Charged, there is no dash mechanic. And of course, we don't see any of the people with the ball actually dashing. So I'm not sure if you can dash with the ball anymore. Rosalina goes for a shot and just gonna... This is called scrapping. When the play no longer works and you're just shooting the ball and kicking the ball and passing the ball. I would say scrapping is more of an art than a skill. You just kind of need to know what to do and just hope and pray you don't get killed. Yeah, the item box is... I don't know how that works. Like, I really would like to see... First things first, they have full items, so it doesn't matter. But I really would like to see some of these people body checking people who do not have the ball to see if you get an item off of that. He's going to use an item finally. Someone figured out the item button. He's going to take the ball, and it actually double checks the Yoshi. Remember when I talked about the chances of making the ball go in, that you want to stand in specific spots? That all goes out the window when you are all by yourself and you're past the last defender because of something called confirms. In every Mario Strikers games, there are these things called confirms, which when you're basically by yourself, the ball should always go in. There's a way to one-on-one the critter. Inside of Super Mario Strikers, you stand in certain spots and do certain kind of kicks, which have like a ridiculously high chance of the ball going in. Or in Mario Strikers Charge, you just do simple setups like the Titan's kick or the serve it up, serve it in, simple things like that. So this ball should theoretically go in, but he kicks it back to Mario for some reason. Again, these two players are what it seems to be pretty new, as, again, most of us will be. The item box just lands. Luigi does a body check. It's nice to see that the CPUs go for the item. So there's definitely some CPU... it's different from the older games because there's more items on the field, which is something that, normally CPUs don't have to deal with. This is a little bit more of a Striker's Charge position. So you notice that there's 3, 1 defender, 1 off button mid, and then you have someone on the offset. So this is what I was talking about. This is what you want to see. This allows you to make plays and makes opening. Also, their Yoshi is completely... You can't see him. He's right underneath me. He's way out of position. And now he's going to get a pass. Passes again. Passes again. He plays like my brother. Standard. Again, I'm not sure if there's a timing to it. It seems like if you do a lob pass, there's a timing to get a really nice shot. Because in Super Mario Strikers, the way to get a perfect, what they call a perfect pass, is to pass on the baseline. So you would have a teammate here sitting on the line. It would create like a green trail. And that green trail, if you shoot it then, has a much higher chance of the ball going in than just a normal shot. It's called a perfect pass. From what I've seen so far, the game looks like a really polished version of Super Mario Strikers with the modern age, so online and a little bit more, interesting mechanics. From my perspective, it's definitely an upgrade from the original, but it's different than Charge. It's kind of like they went back in time and went a completely different direction. Instead of Charge, they went modern, I'd say. Like you could even see in the Peach animation, this is more of like a Mario Golf animation, less of a Mario Strikers, which I think is fine. It definitely falls under the realm of preference. I actually prefer this because one of the biggest issues I have with Charge is because it's so gritty, it's really, really hard to see what the heck is going on. And it makes it, in my opinion, a really bad spectator sport. Okay, here we're gonna have Bowser doing the kickoff against Mario. Mario actually retreats, does not tackle, charges up something else. He's gonna body slam Luigi in. Again, this is one of those cases where he's past the defender line. He should realistically have the ball all to himself. So in this situation, he actually doesn't pass, he just holds it and runs. A lot of people forget that inside of soccer, you don't have to pass the ball. I was playing the Switch Sports, the soccer game, and so many people just kick the ball. Don't kick the ball. Hold it. If no one's around, you hold it and dribble it up. You don't have to pass the ball. Mario does a pass back. Gets an item, but it doesn't really matter because he already had one. Toad's going to use the shroom here and actually use the green shell. Unironically, that's actually a really good play. Like, that's a good simple play, but that's something you might actually see at a competitive level. This is what I was talking about. Items are really, really busted. The reason they're busted is because they could allow you to get out of situations that you realistically should not be able. So here, Waluigi is coming in. This is a very bad position to be in because Toad's in a speed boost. Waluigi comes back and checks. So all Waluigi needs to do is... So this is Toad. Toad's coming in. Waluigi, all he has to do is ride along with him and then keep body checking him as he goes down. And Toad is going to try to read the tackle. So anticipate the tackle and rotate back. And this is bad for Waluigi. So the Waluigi should know that he's going to try to tackle ahead and curve down because he has a speed advantage. Which means that Toad would have to deke up to the side, which moves the defense up. Which is kind of like the art of playing the 1v1 against a single opponent. However, since he has a green shell, he doesn't have to do any of that. And he just, destroys him. And now he has the entire bottom section open with the only contestant, Yoshi, which is nowhere to be found, but for some odd reason he passes. So now you're back to scrapping because you've lost the play. My biggest concern going into Mario Strikers Charge was not the DLC, was not the unlockable characters, was not the lack of content and lack of animations or lack of items or lack of really anything, because I played Valorant at start. Valorant was a very lackluster game, but what made Valorant different from all the other games that I played during beta is it had a good core. I'm not saying that lack of content is excusable. You need a casual base to get the player base up. Now, I'm taking this quote from another YouTuber, but a good game is like a good water park slide. There's things for the kiddie pool. There's things for the people who want to have fun in the big pool. There are people who are like the Olympic swimmers who run laps back and forth. You need all of them. And I feel like a lot of people have already made the comparison for what people need to make the game good for casual people, which is very important. But I also feel like not many people realize that the game seems to be really solid from a competitive perspective, at least from what we've seen. So I just wanted to weigh in a little bit on that, give you guys both perspectives on a bigger range of the audience of Mario Strikers. From what I've seen so far, the game already seems to have a pretty good core. There are a few things that need to be changed, in my opinion. You need to have a slide tackle. That's very important, and we don't see them slide tackling at all. The second thing that is really, really bad, from what I've seen, is you don't get items for body checking. Again, I've already talked about this a little bit before, but hit spamming was a serious problem in Charge, and it's probably going to be a serious problem in this game as well. Luckily, the armor seems to be playing a part in it, so, some people don't get toppled over. But I feel like the meta is definitely going to lean toward making sure that you don't get knocked over and having high speed. I could be completely wrong, though. This part of the video is a little bit more speculation than any other. Waluigi up, body check, and Mario reads the check, reads the pass. But Waluigi, because he's slightly faster, gets the ball before Mario does. Sometimes you give up the ball intentionally to tackle him so you could get the ball back. There's an art to making sure that you have control over the ball. So you don't mindlessly tackle. Mindlessly tackling is a viable strat if you're trying to beat up a casual. But a competitive player normally will read that, and then you'll just get stuck behind and give them a free goal. One thing I love about Mario Strikers as a series is the game is unironically very deep. So in conclusion, this is Super Mario Strikers, the original, with online and a boost mechanic, and really good graphics. Again, next level games do a fantastic job with the animations. There are three major things that me as a competitive player would like to see. A, charge of the ball, which unfortunately does not seem to be the case. B, a slide tackle, that's critical. And 3, when you body check someone who does not have the ball, they should get an item. That's a penalty. It's very important to have those last two mechanics inside of the game. But then again, we don't know, because even though there were two people playing against each other, they didn't really do either of those, which is why there's still a bit of a question mark. There was one time, actually, if you go back and comb the footage, when one of the people gets body checked, and immediately after someone throws an item on top of it. I know a lot of people have been very concerned that Nintendo's been recently pumping out a lot of games that feel very incomplete. I have high hopes for this one because it's really hard to screw up a multiplayer game from being fun. One thing that Nintendo needs to realize is they are basically dipping these games into the lifestyle game category. So games like this are not competing against Mario Odyssey, are not competing against games like Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Mario Strikers Battle League is competing against games like Fortnite, against games like Apex, against games like Valorant. Lifestyle. And it's very important that Nintendo realizes that this is a lifestyle game, not a single player solo campaign. And a lifestyle game requires developer support throughout the entirety of the game, however long that might last, but ideally at least a couple years. In case if the game does go right and the game is legitimately unplayable, which, it could happen, this YouTube channel will play Battle League for a little bit, and then I'm probably going to take a break and go to college. Also, for those of you guys who are concerned, Rebalanced is going to be kind of like a side gig. It's probably going to die down a bit when Battle League comes out, but if Battle League is really bad, I'm probably going to dual main Battle League and Rebalanced until I eventually go to college. So I have a plan regardless of whether Battle League turns out good or whether it turns out completely rancid. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next time.